back to Silicon Sounds, audio for the rest of us. Today I have the distinct pleasure of reviewing the QOA Queen of Audio Mimosa. For those who are not familiar with Queen of Audio, they are a sub-brand of Kinera, the House of Kinera. Kinera itself is a storied company with many great IEM releases under its belt, spanning a wide range of pricing and brand names, including Celeste, another sister brand of Queen of Audio. The Mimosa comes from Queen of Audio, who have garnered much praise with a few of their past releases, including the Adonis. The Queen of Audio Mimosa is their latest release, and it's a good one, folks. This is a good one. It's a good one at that, with quality accessories to match. In terms of driver complement, per side, the $99 USD at the time of this recording Mimosa pairs a single 10mm customized dynamic driver, and we could see it through the shell, with a 6mm planar driver for the highs and ultra high frequencies. The blending of these two different driver technologies is done exceedingly well. This is heard on listening. This is made apparent due to the cohesive sound that the Mimosa produces. On top, what we have here in terms of tuning is a balanced signature with some emphasis at opposite ends of the frequency spectrum, somewhat akin to a U type of tuning. I would characterize this tuning as a balanced U, if that makes any sense to anybody, with the warmth that adds to the musicality that the Mimosa blesses the ears and senses with. One thing about the Mimosa that really impressed me, probably the most impressive part of it, besides its sound, is the fact that it walks a fine line between fun, yet still technical and organic. It's not the easiest IEM to drive when comparing it to recent earphones I've had an opportunity to listen to. That being said, it is not an overly difficult load, and most competent sources should be more than able to drive the Mimosa to louder than comfortable levels. That being said, as I always recommend in my videos, a more capable source is suggested. Running it straight off of a phone or your basic cheapish dongle will not do its service. That being said, you will still get good sound. The Mimosa is quite forgiving in that regard. I used a number of sources, and playback quality was great through all of them, but there were differences noted. For example, when paired with my Topping A50S, an amp that's been around for a while, but I love it for its stark neutrality. It sounded great. The Hibby R4 and others. But the slightly warmish tone and open signature of the XDO XA02 offered a synergy that was incredibly musical. I'm not going to go into the argument of people asking whether or not sources make a difference. I'm in the camp that says yes, they do. So, build and fit. The QOA, as we'll call Queen of Audio QOA for the duration of this video, is a beautiful IEM. It's it comes in two colors, brown and a bluish. I picked the coffee brown, and I must say it is wonderful. It's quite easy to see the 10mm dynamic, a little bit more difficult to see the 6mm planar. Just a beautiful looking IEM. The included accessories are actually quite good. I'm going to show you them right now, and I'll show you what I mean. Here we have the cable. The overall quality of the Mimosa is carried through its accessories. The cable is absolutely fantastic. You do get a choice of 4.4mm balance or 3.5mm single-ended when you purchase. I went for the 4.4mm balance. The cable is very nice. It's a keeper. You also get 2 additional sets of tips, which are also of very high quality, all of course housed in this branded case. Back to the Mimosa. They're moderately sized, medium size. Fit is not an issue. They do have, as you can see, quite a prominent part right here, a nozzle, and it's quite wide. Some people may have trouble putting tips. I, of course, do not. It has the lip that I like so much, tips to be secure once they're on. Fitment was not an issue with me. One thing I've noticed with manufacturers is that only a few consistently pay attention to their retail presentation. Kinera and their house brands have always stepped up in that regard and show you that regardless of how much you pay for your product, your IEM, the retail presentation is not just an afterthought like in so many other brands. Let's get to the sound. The bass is presented with satisfying authority while not negatively affecting the rest of the sound. From the start, it was heard that the Mimosa is really about achieving a certain kind of fun balance, if that makes sense. With the bass, this balancing act was between power and control, texture and dryness, etc. The bass is very well done. QOA have done an excellent job navigating the sonics of the Mimosa. Bass is pleasing with power when called for, ample power, by the way, yet never overshadowing anything else. I was listening to a track, one of the tracks I use when I evaluate IEMs, Protection by Massive Attack. And I can tell you that the ever-present bass that was part of the track, that anchors the track, was heard, but as a solid foundation, not as an overwhelming part of the whole song. It just fit in and blended with the rest of the music. Fantastic, but with great power and authority. Angel by Massive Attack, another track that I use, has a driving bass line that actually has a texture to it. This bass line is even more prominent than the one found in the song Protection by Massive Attack. And again, what was heard was the bass was a solid and stable anchor, for lack of a better word, on this track, complementing the rest of the production. And yes, the texture of the bass did shine through. I have heard one or two IEMs that the texture came through even more, but realistically speaking, the balance here was fantastic. This is not a pure bass head IEM. Don't let me convince you otherwise. It's not, but it has ample bass. You will not be wanting. I can see that all but the most hardened bass heads may not be happy with the bass here. The bass goes deep with enough rumble impact to be most satisfying. It is full sounding bass from mid bass on down to the sub bass. Putting on another track, Stella by Gerald Simpson, or known as a guy called Gerald. The low end made me appreciate it even more with its meaty yet solid and controlled presentation. Bass has good definition, snap, pacing, and speed as well. Listening to No Worries by Robert Glasper, trio, the double bass was easy to pick out to discern with great texturing. Inside Job by Wayman Tisdale, another great track. I was pleased with the snap and vibrancy relayed by the bass guitar and drum on that lively track. The Mimosa does fantastic when it comes to its lower end, the bass. The mid-range now has a touch of warmth with a mix of macro and micro details. No, this is not the most detailed in terms of micro details, but they are present in more than sufficient quantities to keep things interesting. The mid-range here leans more towards being musical rather than being overly technical. That being said, the Mimosa is capable of very good resolution. This was heard on He's a Caracoma by Eden Atwood. This very high quality DSD file and recording came through fantastic. Top shelf sound, very clean. Space was very apparent. In many IEMs, unfortunately, and even headphones, everyone listens to the music, but the space between the notes is many times what makes a track engaging, and the Mimosa did that. The track playback had a level of organics that instantly was a hit to my ears and senses. I am someone who falls for organics in natural presentation. People ask me, what does organic mean? It is something that the brain identifies as being natural and just free and natural. You gravitate towards that because it's comforting. And that's a quick layman's way of describing what organics is. Male vocals had a warm richness to them, sounding full-bodied and expressive. Female vocals, slightly more forward in the mix with great clarity, presence, and without harshness. The Mimosa offers a natural sounding vocal playback that heightens listener involvement by accurately relaying the emotional delivery of the vocalist. I haven't said that in so long. Why? Because many IEMs and headphones will play back vocals and they sound fantastic, but do they draw you into the music? Do they relay the actual emotional content of the vocalist delivery? The Mimosa does that. This, of course, goes hand in hand with good timbre, which the Mimosa is also blessed with. Lately, this pulling in, this ability to become involved in the music is rare, has been rare, even with some much more expensive sets. Call me jaded, but when you have the opportunity to listen to as many earphones and IEMs, give you another nice look at it, as I have, when you get this kind of emotional involvement in the music, it'll grab your attention right away. It's not as common as many people think when listening to sound being reproduced by IEMs or headphones. I write this paper while I'm listening, actually. This review, I had just come off from listening to Love You to the Letter by Anita Baker, and it was distracting. The music itself became a distraction in a good way because it was so organic and pulled me in. The Mimosa does come with some emphasis or pinna gain, but is well controlled and never harsh or strained. Transits are relayed very well, being firm with very rapid attack and a natural decay. Layering and separation were also notable. The Mimosa keeping all elements of busy tracks together in their personal space within the track, even at moderately to higher volume levels. This was heard on Beautiful Lie, a track I used for that by Vic Lavender. He's an icon in the house music industry. It's a track that's heavy on different percussion. All the instruments were clearly heard in their own space and easily picked out from one another. In lesser IEMs, even those of greater pricing, this song becomes a wall of sound. And that is obviously indicative of a fault in the sound presentation. So for the mid-range, the QOA, Queen of Audio Mimosa, has an engaging mid-range that belies its asking price. There is a level of organic playback here that is just musical to my ears. Once again, QOA has achieved with the Mimosa a very delicate balance between being musical yet being fun. It's a tightrope. They've walked it perfectly with great success with the Mimosa. More than a few times I was pulled into the music, and this by itself, again, is high praise. Let's talk about the treble. So we have a 6mm planar driver, which takes over for the high and ultra high frequencies here. The treble is definitely extended with ample qualities of sparkle and air. The level of detail retrieval is notable here. It's quite good, while still staying true to the organic presentation heard in the mid-range. Clean and open is how I would describe the treble. The treble of the Mimosa strikes a near perfect balance, with the bass having also a pleasant crispness but never straying from neutral. If anything, the Mimosa offers a vibrant treble that, while some more treble sensitive people may find offense with, I had no issues whatsoever. I, for one, do not find overall that this high end has any issues. Again, treble sensitive people, those who like a dull or reduced treble, the Mimosa may not be the best listening experience for you. I'm not trying to say that the Mimosa has excessive, unnatural treble, but there is an added touch of crispness that you don't usually hear on sets with balanthometry drivers, for example. Could be the tuning, could be the implementation, but it is what it is. I will end with respect to the treble saying that it's a high end that really shines, and pun is intended. Detail is there. It serves as a very good balance with the strong bass output and balances everything out. Very well done. And it complements the more neutral and I guess even-keeled mid-range. Imaging and soundstage. The Queen of Audio Mimosa is above average in this price range for the soundstage that it offers, absolutely. Here, the listener is presented with a moderately large soundstage with ample room between the instruments, making their position easy to discern. When listening to Stimla, the Coltrane, this is an excellent live recording by the late great Hugh Masekela. The dimensions of the venue were palpable. I can tell how large exactly the venue was. And that was very interesting. Each instrument was clearly defined in this space as well. The Mimosa excels not just at width, but also a good measure of height and depth. And for an IAM at any price to have pretty reasonable amounts of any of those three at once is not as common as people think. That, in addition to its above average layering and separation, add up to an unrestrained and engaging listen, in particular when playing back well-recorded live tracks and being driven adequately. For example, the Mimosa the difference in the imaging was apparent when going from my Hibby R4 DAP to my XD XA02, with the XA02 just having a more immersive soundstage. Both sound excellent. The Hibby R4 DAC is a keeper at that price range, hard to match. But switching over to the more capable desktop system did have an audible difference. Again, the Hibby R4 DAC is excellent. So let's conclude this longer than usual review of mine. The Queen of Audio company, or the sub-brand of Kinera, have a definite winner in the Mimosa. When looking at the price, it would be pain me to find even a small handful of competitors that could approach, let alone match, the all-rounder chops and status of the Mimosa. The Mimosa, notice, no tuning switches, yet it is capable of playing any genre of music beautifully. No need to change the sound. The sound is what it is, and they've done a great job. Here we have an IM that successfully walks the narrow boundary between being fun yet technical and comes out a winner. This is what the Mimosa does so well. More often than not, fun sets, quote unquote, are usually not that musical for long listening sessions, in the true sense of musicality and organics and natural playback. The Mimosa has its foot in both camps and does it nicely. Is the Mimosa for everyone? Well, no. No IM I've ever heard can say that. I will say this, though. If you are a listener that values natural and organic playback with an open and lush presentation, great technicalities, and with the ability to relay the music in such a way as to easily engage the listener, yet with a touch of fun thrown in, the Queen of Audio Mimosa should be very, very high on your short list. At $99 USD, at the time of the presenting of this video, I should say, I can't give the Mimosa a high enough recommendation. It is an excellent IM, a keeper, and right after this video, I'll pop it in my ears and start listening to some more music just for the sake of listening. And that's what I'm going to do now. The review is over. I'm going to go listen to some more music with the QOA Mimosa. Thank you very much for watching this review. Continue to support the channel. Tell your friends about it. Give me a thumbs up if you liked the video, and please subscribe if you haven't already. See you the next time from Silicon Sounds. Audio for the rest of us.